Alright, welcome to the first audio-only review on the channel. It is me, Nick Izumi, and this last Thursday I went to go see a movie with another YouTuber friend of mine, Arcemise.
Hello, Nick. How are you?
I'm doing great. And I'm also in a mood where I'm trying to finish another video that is horribly delayed and I don't feel like editing anything. So we're just going to talk about Eureka 7, Good Night, Sleep Tight, Young Lovers.
Sounds like a plan.
Also known as Pocket Full of Rainbows in Japan.
To each his own, I suppose.
For whatever reason. So, yeah. I think we both left with generally the same opinion, more or less. Really strong movie. I don't know, do you want to start out somewhere or just kind of ramble?
First, we went and saw it in a nice, really big theater with 6 people in it.
Yeah, for those who don't know, and I'm going to hope that most of you didn't, this was a big anime movie that was released in theaters here in America for one night only. It was this last Thursday, and that was it. We went to go see it. We had a lot of fun, but there was no one else there. And I'm pretty disappointed with the anime community right now for not showing up to this thing. It was really fun.
And for, the theater for not actually advertising at all, as far as we could tell.
Yeah, there was nothing. There was a big sign that said special event, and that was it. I mean, it was embarrassingly bad.
Yes.
But the same can't be said for the movie, which was really cool.
True.
So, let's see, where should we begin? Well, Eureka 7, as a lot of you know, was a Studio Bones anime that came out a couple of years ago about air surfing, giant robots, and romance. 3 things that should be awesome and worked really well together. Well, a good 51 episode show, really strong. I wasn't sure how they were going to turn this into a movie. And what we get is by no means something that is a, hey, if you saw the show, come see this movie. Because they decided to go in a completely different direction. So if you haven't seen the show, guess what? You can still watch this.
Kind of like Star Trek, the movie.
Like Star Trek, yeah. And almost like Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, yes, the reimagined series.
Yeah, because they got really dark with this and kind of depressing. The show's pretty hopeful, and this movie wasn't so much.
Yeah, it was a little more doom and gloom, wasn't it?
Well, I spent most of the movie feeling like the sun might not come up tomorrow, and I really think they were going for that. There's this real apocalyptic feeling. I guess we could talk about the story a little bit.
We'll do a little. No major spoilers. We're trying to hold back.
We have. The setting is we've got the distant future, 2000 something, but there are these things called the Azo, and they look like the Crawlians from the TV series, and they're really scary, globular alien things, and apparently they're at war with humanity. Now, in the midst of all this, we also meet Renton, played by Johnny Young Bosch, and Eureka, played by Stephanie Sheh. And Eureka seems to be this really weird girl who is... At first, I guess we thought she had, like, green albinoism, because she's really pale, and if you expose her to direct sunlight, she burns green.
Yeah, that was new.
That was brand new, and when we're introduced to these characters, they're like little kids. And if this scene doesn't make you, like, tear up or at least wrench at your heart a little bit, you have no soul. I'm sorry. It's very depressing.
It's a very fair argument to say you have no soul.
Because it's just so emotional. You're introduced to them. You're also introduced to Dominic. And if you remember Dominic from the TV show...
Forget him.
Forget him. This is not even close to the Dominic you know from the TV show. This is a teacher, this wizened man, and he is taking these kids kind of under his wing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And you're introduced to the 2 kids through him, And then the next thing you know, they're like, well, we never heard from Dominic much after that. And Eureka gets taken away. Little Eureka, after she gets green burn. And
yeah, to put it in perspective, they're like 5 years old, so they're like complete chibi type characters at this point. And including another character, which I don't think I'll spoil just yet.
Oh yeah. Do we want to talk? We got to talk about that thing at one point.
We will.
Okay.
Later on.
One of our favorite things from the show came back in the most awesome form ever.
Yes, it did.
So yeah, and the next time you see them, Renton is older. He's with the military, which is new because in the show they were just some weird anti-establishment group.
The Gecko State.
But now we don't have the Gecko State. They're still on this ship called the Gecko, but there's no ex-military. These guys are all claiming to be military, Renton included. Mm-hmm. And he's launching in a team led by none other than Holland Novak. That's Crispin Freeman.
Woohoo! We share the same last name. It's awesome.
And the best part about his intro is that if anyone has heard Crispin Freeman before, they know him as Alucard from Hellsing. And he goes into Alucard voice for a little bit.
Yes, it's wonderful.
He has this mecha, the devilfish, that can apparently help him figure out where souls are on a battlefield. And he's yelling at this monster, "Let me find your soul!" And I'm like, what? Was Alucard here for a bit?
I think he was. It must be vampire blood that he's pumping into his head there.
Well, anyway, this leads to Renton eventually meeting up with Eureka again, and his being a mecha pilot for Gecko State really gets called into question because, or not Gecko State, but for the people in the Gecko really gets called into question because some things come up.
Yes. Also, this is probably the only part in the movie where it feels their little relationship is a little forced. It kind of felt like the little Twilight.
Yeah, when they meet again, it's early in the movie. You have to get over this hump.
It's like in the first 10 minutes. Not even.
When they get reunited, they're not really separated for that long. The dialogue feels like someone's reading Twilight to you. And that one bit of dialogue is really hard to get through, especially for me, because it's like, Renton, I missed you so much. I missed you too, Eureka. I missed you so much. I missed you too. Get on with it.
I had a very Jeff Goldblum feel for, Jurassic Park, must move faster, because in the scene, it's kind of dangerous. You don't really have time to be sitting around talking to each other about
It's kind
feelings.
of frantic, because he's in the robot, and she is on the ground, and I just want to yell at him, get her in the robot, you moron. But anyway, yeah, they get back together, and after that, I don't know if we want to go too much into story details.
We'll kind of cut back on the story just a tad there, so...
Yeah, what we can say, I guess, is that the military starts wondering what Gecko State is... I keep saying Gecko State. The people on the Gecko are up to, because they don't report back. And slowly but surely, you have another story kind of going on about this woman who's about to retire from the higher government of this world. And she's a longtime investigator, and she starts unraveling this long thread involving the Gecko crew members. And I don't want to spoil it, because it was such a shock for me.
Yeah, it worked out really well.
So the story starts going from there, and you get a really interesting romance between Renton and Eureka. You get the really interesting people on the Gecko. You get the people back in the military. That old woman story arc was really interesting. Mm-hmm. I mean, she doesn't really get to be that active in the plot, but she's figuring it out and doing the exposition for you. So
she does a lot of the background work, if you will. Mm-hmm. So for the story, that the other characters, I don't know if they already knew and don't, it wouldn't feel right if they explained it themselves.
It made the story move along at an interesting pace too.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. Let's see. What to move on to next?